My college advisor pointed at my ripped jeans. After I came to her about assault, then said, "Why the F were you alone with him, especially wearing that?" When I asked why she was letting him get away, she rolled her eyes and said, "You're confusing life with a fairy tale. Boys will be boys." I didn't say a word. That was 4 semesters ago. Yesterday, she was escorted off campus, her office door locked from the outside. My entire university was a safe haven for ARPists. On the first day, they gave us an hour-long presentation on boundaries. The lecturer was an old man who still used a Nokia block phone. He had long white hair, beady eyes, very expensive suit. 90% of campus attacks involved alcohol. Now what does this tell us? The room went silent. Girls that drift hanging open, but quickly closed it shut when I noticed one of the guys across the room staring at me and grabbing the bulge through his shorts. That's when I got the notification. It was my roommate Rachel texting me even though we were right beside each other. She told me that her sister went to the university and was told by her sorority sisters to never report anything. I pinched the bridge of my nose because Rachel was bright and bubbly, the type to exaggerate things for comedic effect. So I just replied saying, "No way," before turning my phone off. But a week later, I realized I was part of the problem because when I met my tour guide a week later and joked about what Rachel said, her face fell. I furrowed my eyebrows, not knowing what was wrong with what I said, and that's when told me. "I had reported one last year," she said, her voice so quiet it could have been mistaken for an exhale. "I lost my scholarship and had to borrow money from my dirt-poor family just to afford rent." "What happened to the guy?" I asked. A part of me didn't even want to know the answer. Since I was deemed a liar, the university rewarded him for dealing with my BS. He was given my scholarship. My heart twisted. And one thing about me is that I am a girl's girl. If we have a crush on the same boy, I will let you have him. So now, seeing Sarah sit in front of me feeling completely helpless, I knew I had to do something. I didn't go to the police, didn't post anything about it. I didn't tell a soul, because I was ready to play the long game. I spent the next 2 semesters being the perfect student. I practically lived like a Mormon. Never drank, spent my weekends doing Chloe Ting workouts and attending study groups, deleted most traces of my social media. But in the end, none of it mattered, because one day, I was the second one to show up to my science study group, and Jake was the first. I sat down beside him to be polite and stared at the ground to show him I didn't want to talk. But of course, he spoke anyway. "I'd like to see those pretty eyes do something other than study all day." I swear I thought he was pranking me, but that's when I got the "Jake is typing" notification on Snapchat. He had literally texted me saying, "I'll show you mine if you show me yours." And when I looked up at him, he had this huge smirk on his face. Dude actually believed he was Sir Isaac Riston LOL. I thought the radio silence between us was enough for him to take the hint, but I was wrong. Because, well, let's just say I was soon faced with the contents of his "My eyes only." I immediately burst into tears and started hyperventilating. You see, the last time I had come into contact with anything asexual was when a man stole my innocence during childhood. I wasn't going to mention this part, but now I think it's relevant to the story. Anyway, there I was, crying my eyes out, when Jake put his hand on my back to comfort me, which soon turned into him trying to undo the clasp of my bra. I ran into the bathroom stall, practically rocking back and forth on the toilet seat. When I finally stopped, I decided I had had enough and stormed towards my advisor to ask about reporting. I expected her to comfort me, or at least tell me the procedures, but no. Why the F were you alone with him, especially wearing that?" She then pointed to my ripped jeans like they were to blame. I just smiled and walked away because I had an ace up my sleeve, one that I didn't want to pull out unless I absolutely had to. My daddy was a rich lawyer. He was the one who had put my childhood ARPist away, and I knew he would do anything for me. And I had just recorded our entire conversation. I called my dad that night. He listened to the recording 3 times without saying a word. Then he told me to document everything and keep my head down for now. He said he'd file the complaint himself but needed more evidence first. I trusted him completely. The next morning, Jake was already spreading rumors about me. Apparently, I was unstable and making things up for attention. His fraternity brothers started showing up